Hello, Mayda. Welcome to Her Movement podcast. I've been looking forward to our conversation. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I'm very happy to be here and that we have solved so many technical issues to get here. That was nuts. But we're there. We're there.
But we didn't give up, so that's what
Absolutely.
matters. So, Mayda, tell me, what movement are you building with your business? Because I know you're up to something.
My movement is not very original. It's about empowering women. But my side of that is empowering women in the workplace. And so that they have a choice to
Right.
stay in the business, to have a career, to have a family or kids. But it's a choice they are making. And it's not something that is imposed upon them
Right.
by their parents or, sometimes by the fear of not being good enough and what have you. So for me, it's about prompting each one of us to dig inside of ourselves and find what I call your inner leader. And the
Right.
more you tap into that inner leader, and the more you are coming from a place of alignment with your values, with your beliefs, and
Right.
less depending on external validation, whatever your boss thinks, whatever the parent thinks, or whatever it is. It's all about you, but you're responsible for your own life and your own
Right.
happiness.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. And I know it's so empowering. The work that you are doing is so empowering. Maida, apart from the work that you're doing, I also know about your life journey. And it's full of, ups and downs and, so many things. So take us into your life, what you have experienced and how you actually evolved into an entrepreneur, right? You have worked in corporate for very long and then you turn into an entrepreneur. So take us into your journey.
I'm going to say that it's very interesting, and I invite each one of us to take a step back and go from birth to where you are today and see all the ups and downs we go through, because sometimes, well, obviously I was born in France and my parents are Middle Eastern. They went back to Syria, then they left Syria. There's a lot of these kind of ups and downs, as you said. But I think we all have our own ups and downs, and this
Right.
is, from Joseph Campbell's words, our hero's journey.
Right.
So my hero's journey started at birth, and then there are a lot of different hero's journey within that. But for me, I come from a family of immigrants, and
Right.
as far as I remember, I've always been an immigrant myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I lived in Syria. My parents are Lebanese, Armenian, and Syrian. I lived in France, where it was the second part of my youth. And then I worked in France, I worked in the UK, and now I am in the US. It's a
Quite a
journey that
journey.
it's a journey that I'm sure a lot of people as well can connect with, because that was a physical displacement, but sometimes our crisis or our challenges or our obstacles are more into mental crisis or
Right.
health crisis. It so happened that for me, I was someone who was born into a family where they push you all the time. You have to be the best, the prettiest, the
Yeah.
slimmest, whatever it is. Est.
Yeah.
And so I got integrated into me that I needed to always do my best,
Right.
but because I'm judged on the outside. And so I went into banking, investment banking. It's interesting. It's crazy, but it's very interesting. And that was my whole career for 16 years in corporates until I had cancer. And cancer was, so all of this in hindsight, and I don't want to diminish the physical pain, the mental suffering that comes from cancer or having one
Right.
of your loved ones. So I want to preface this. This is my experience in hindsight. It was, for me, it was a huge teacher in my life, because that was the first time where, for a long time, where I was prompted, invited to do something about my life and to take a step back and to take an
Ah.
action and wait and see. versus investment banking, where you are
Always hustling.
always,
Yep.
always, and it's the case for any corporate. And the
Yep.
interesting part about cancer as well, and I'm going to say about many of these crises that we, all of us, go
Yeah.
through,
Right.
is that the teacher is there for you and for you precisely. It's not pretty. It's can get very ugly. It's sometimes like, you don't know what's going on. You have zero control. But it's about just going into that flow of things where you do your best, but you are not in charge of the outcome in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is also what I bring to my clients as well as an entrepreneur and in my coaching, is to say, um, there's so much you can do, but do your best. Do your best that works for you. And to extend this into entrepreneurship, it's the same thing, because being an entrepreneur is hard. I
Right.
see your videos at 2 in the morning, like crazy. I'm like, how does she do that? I want to go to bed. I am in bed at 2 in the morning. Um, but at the
Sometimes
same,
I'm awake till 5 a.m. and then I go to bed, and because of the difference in the time zone, it is challenging, no doubt about it.
especially if you work with people on the West Coast here in the US, it's crazy.
Right.
It's almost like the next day. It is
Right.
the next day. So totally, you see how this can be translated into entrepreneurship, where the idea is you connect with your mission, you connect with
Yeah.
what you think your purpose is, because this is going to evolve throughout your journey. And you have the faith. You have faith in yourself. You have faith and trust in what you do. And then you have to let go of the obsession, of reaching goals that sometimes we can't reach. And maybe that's what goals are about in entrepreneurship. I don't
Mm.
know.
Right. Right. I just feel somewhere, Meda, that becoming an entrepreneur in itself is something that you don't become an entrepreneur. It's more like you are growing in the whole process. Entrepreneurship is all about working on yourself rather than understanding yourself and then working on yourself, accepting yourself for the mistakes that you might do in the whole process and all of that. And then of course the work is there, but I feel like it's such a beautiful way of actually evolving into a person, a better person.
It's uh, it's 100% that. When I started, so I left the job because the amount of stress that I
Yeah.
used to withstand, I wasn't able to do it after the chemotherapy. My body broke down anyway. It's like, I can't
Yeah.
do this. And as I was exploring what I would do, I met a coach, and she said to me, if you are looking for personal growth and personal development accelerated, then entrepreneurship is for you. And to
Right.
echo, it's exactly what you're saying, is that you do it for
Yeah.
yourself
Right.
first. And
Right.
women have trouble doing that because we don't do anything for ourselves first. We do it
Yeah.
for our parents, we do it for our spouses, partners, we do it for our kids, for our bosses. It's rarely because we sit down for a second and say, hey, I have these fears. How can I deal with that? Well, if
Right.
you decide to become an entrepreneur, these are going to go and they're going to be in your face all the time.
Yeah.
A responsibility, you decide you want to deal with it, you decide it's not the right moment, but it's you, the boss.
Right. It gets better over the time. This is what I have felt in last 5 years of me being an entrepreneur. And I was in corporate for 12 long years, and I was like on that, level. And I was making decisions all the time, but it gets better and you make better decisions when you are in charge of your own life, your own money that's coming in into your business. It's very different. And over the time, it does get better. Initially the challenges that come, we all are aware of it because we have no clue how to manage. when you are in corporate, it's just inflow. There is no outflow as such that you are responsible for. It's all your personal life, how you manage. But here it's investment back into the business as well. And there are just so many decisions that we make on a daily, basis. So it does make you a better person in every which way. This is what I have experienced. And even sometimes when we actually go through any health crisis, after having kids and all, we all go through all of that. We get better at managing our health as well.
Yeah, because you know your priorities. You know
Yeah,
that
yeah,
if the vehicle is not working well, nothing
yeah,
is going to work well. You know that if that vehicle as well is not aligned with the rest,
right,
it's going to be the same thing. And so I feel that it's almost like the thing to the 12 long years, and I feel sometimes that it's a journey. It's as if we're stepping into adulthood, but really
right.
into adulthood.
Really.
When you're in corporates, you're addicted to this regular paycheck, and so of
Right.
course you show up and you do your best. But there's always someone on top of you that is going. Everybody has a boss. Even CEOs have bosses, um, and everybody and you are very much addicted to the paycheck and to,
Mm.
well done,
The
you did a good
shelter,
job.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there is a shelter as well, of course. Yeah.
exactly.
So when you were going through, that phase where you had this, cancer. I mean, it's just such a big, word in itself. So did you decide during that time that you're gonna get into entrepreneurship? Was there some inspiration during that time, or you figured it out later?
I wish there was. Maybe I would have been better prepared. Although I don't think I had time to be honest, because
Yeah.
I was continuing working my job, and it was before cancer. It was 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. my time, and then during cancer, I took that a bit down. Um, so I didn't have really the space to think about that. Plus, I think, and that's my lesson as well, is that we need to choose our battles. And
Right.
sometimes for me, it was this safety in my job. It was not losing my job, not losing momentum. I'm a control freak as well. So I needed to stay to be controlling the job, because the healing the cancer was not really up to me. In a way, it was up to me, but it was a lot of it was um, being in that flow of the treatment, of the cycles of chemotherapy, and the side effects that
Yeah.
sometimes are not very pleasant. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
Entrepreneurship was almost imposed upon me, in the sense where it was really one morning. It was a Sunday morning, and it was like any other Sunday morning. I had a ton of emails to go through,
Mm.
and at that point I started getting extremely stressed out. And I was so stressed out, because how am I going to deal with all of this? I cannot. I was also taking medication post cancer that didn't help the mental health side. This is
Yeah.
not to all. If hopefully nobody goes through anything, but sometimes when you have a health issue, I think, especially when it's physical, I think sometimes we neglect taking care of our mental health, of making sure that we're okay, we're supported. I was very supported, but the chemicals were not helping. And so I went into this deep, almost like a panic attack.
Oh,
And it was like, what do I do now? And in my head, there was a voice that said, if you continue like this, the second one, cancer, is not going to be as pleasant. Now,
right.
mind you, I never thought the first one was that pleasant. But for me, it was like, okay, now is about time for me to do things differently. Can I
Yeah.
do that differently where I am? It's going to be very hard, because I had a senior job, and I have been working this job for a certain time. I had a lot of habits, and trying to change them,
Yeah.
I didn't feel I had that capacity. So
Yeah.
for me, it was all or nothing, and the nothing was the void. And
Yeah.
then you allow things to start working for you, and to start figuring out. As you said, it was mostly a journey back to myself, rather than a journey towards doing
Yeah.
something. And
Right.
then the two collide at some point, like,
Yeah.
aha, that's what I want to do.
That's what you want. Right, right. And often I've seen that, when we are faced with challenges is when we truly come out of that, shell that we have built for ourselves for years, and then try to actually figure out things that, resonate with who we are actually. At least this happened with me when I started my business. And but there is one more thing, because I come from the same background, corporate and then business. I wanted to know from you, was it you know just a shift of circumstantial shift that you had to make to be from corporate and come in the entrepreneurship, or it was more about the mindset? Because even when we actually become an entrepreneur after so many years of corporate, there is just so much of baggage that we carry as corporate employees, and that doesn't go when we come into entrepreneurship. And that's another challenge that I had initially, and I had to kind of understand it. And thanks to my mentors, they really helped me understand that corporate to entrepreneurship is not just about the work shift, it's all about mindset. Did you go through that, and if yes, what did you do about it?
So I'm going to nuance all of that.
Yeah.
When you are in investment banking, and I'm guessing a lot of other places, at least for me, I was responsible for what I
Yeah.
was doing. And so I was a self-starter. Whatever was going to happen, this is my to-do list, this is where I need to get at, and it's my job to get there.
Yeah.
So I didn't have too much of this showing up at 8 a.m. and working whatever. I was working, sometimes not sleeping for a day or two because that's what the job required. And sometimes it's like, oh, I have nothing to do. I go home and I work from home. That was way before people would work from home. I was lucky to have bosses and managers who understood that they could trust me with getting things done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from that point of view, that side of the entrepreneurship, the discipline, the to-do
Yeah.
list, that I had.
Yeah.
What I didn't have, and that is the big mindset,
Yeah.
is that I can work very long hours and not get the revenues that I want and I deserve.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes I don't do much and things happen. And they don't happen because I don't do much. They happen because previously I have worked and planted seeds and had talks and connected with clients and what have you, and now they are coming back. So
Right.
it goes back to what you were saying, this shift in mindset where it's you go back to yourself.
Yes.
So what do you want for yourself? What do you want for your business?
Yeah.
How does that work? And it's there's no formula.
There is
I
no
wish.
problem.
I wish.
Yeah, there is no formula, and I totally agree with that. And I feel like we don't have that kind of relationship with money as well. We
Yes.
are When we are in corporate, it's a different relationship that we have to develop when we come into entrepreneurship, especially as women, because we don't really manage our money, and from the very beginning we don't really do it much. So and you also talk about in your work about having the right relationship with money as entrepreneur. So let us know about that as well.
So money is fear. Money is power. Money is survival. Money is all of these things that kept us in a way in this golden cage that is corporate. And
Right.
what we need really is to make peace with it in the sense where if that's what works for your nervous system in a corporate, then no judgment there. Not everybody is made and not everybody has the opportunity as a privilege to become an entrepreneur. But
Definitely.
when you are an entrepreneur, it's hard sometimes, it's like these ups and downs. It's
Yeah.
not like, it's like flat line is death.
Yes.
It's all of
Yeah.
these. And the idea is number one, to find what your safety is. So
Right.
if you're now in a corporate and thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, how long can you live without having a regular income? and
Mm.
create, emergency funds, or speak with, obviously I'm not a financial advisor, but find someone who can help you pivot
Right.
that side. And then when you are an entrepreneur, is make sure you are aligned as well with the products that you have, the place you're coming from. I'm
Right.
finding that when you are coming from a place of integrity, which is of service and wanting to help people and get paid for it, that's the other side, then
Mm.
things will happen. Working with clients, especially in these kind of like coaching and healers, and there is this almost like underlying mindset that I shouldn't be paid for that because I'm helping
Yeah.
people.
Right. It's a big one.
Huge. Stop that crap.
Right. Yeah.
You need to be paid for different reasons. Number
Right.
one, because you need to support yourself. You need to pay your rent, your mortgage, or your healthcare, whatever it is. You need money. It's We're not living in some imaginary illusional place. It's called Earth, and money is still number one. So that's number
Yeah.
one.
That's the
Number
way you
two,
operate.
exactly, and it's not going to change. You can invest
Yeah.
in crypto, whatever. It's not going to change anything. We're there for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go to barter, but I'm not sure anybody wants to do that. um, the other part I think as well is think about how not honoring your work it
Mm.
is for not getting paid. If you don't
Right.
get paid unless you are financially independent, and good for you, but then we're not talking the same thing. If you don't get paid, how long can you do this work? How long can you share your
Right.
gifts with others? Not
Right.
long. I find that from a pure energetic point of view, the same way when you are corporate and you feel you're not paid enough, if you
Yeah.
feel you are not getting that, you're not going to give it your best. You're going to become resentful. You're going to hate your job, your
Right.
business, your clients, and ultimately yourself. Not a good
Right.
place to be.
Nope. Right. Right. Very true.
So it's about um, going back and thinking what money represents to you.
Mm.
And for each of us, it represents something very different. So, on a collective basis, especially here in the US, money is about power and status, right? Like you have money, you
Yep.
can do whatever you want. For me
Yeah.
personally, on a personal, an individual level, money is about safety, simply
Yeah.
because I lived in a country where there was you don't feel always safe, and money is a way for you to be able to leave whenever you need.
Right.
So I see myself going into these places where I don't feel safe if I don't have money, but I
Yeah.
don't care that much about status or power. I do care a bit about self worth. That money is a bit a reflection of
Yeah.
my self worth. That's what a
Yes.
lot of people have in corporates. And I do care a lot about money being freedom.
Mm.
So, one of the things that I invite people to think is about these five components, and we all have, and many more probably, but these are the
Yeah.
ones that I identified. So, is money safety for you?
Yeah.
Is it status? Is it power? Is it self worth? Is it freedom? And once you get to that place, then you have a better relationship with money because you know what it
Right.
represents for you. And so you can
Yeah.
modulate the way you work, you can modulate the way you
Think about
charge.
it. Yeah. And
Exactly.
you can, kind of, the way you just described it, I actually never thought about it that way. It's more like, you are giving money a personality for yourself.
Mhm. Yeah.
You can actually derive, something out of it. So if it is freedom for you, so you can just have a conversation about it. If that's freedom and more freedom is what you're looking for, you can just, start thinking freedom with money, so, which is beautiful. I never thought about it.
Do the same with
Yeah,
your business sometimes as well.
yeah.
When I'm very
I feel
resentful.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like, for me now, when you are telling all these things, it's more about significance and power to decide.
Mhm.
Mm,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives you that freedom. It gives you the freedom to be the way you want to
Yeah,
be without having to have a boss or whatever, someone telling you you need to do it that way. You do it your way
right.
because
In fact, in the
that's fun.
families also, Maya.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
In the families also, you see, if women are not making money, they don't have the say. They don't have the strongest say
Hmm.
in the decision making as such. So it does give you power. If you are financially independent as a woman, it does give you the power to actually have a say in everything that's happening in your family,
Yeah.
isn't it? So I really feel like, it does give you that kind of power. And people see you with a different eye altogether when you are independent, financially, especially, right?
Yeah.
So it
Exactly.
is very important that we have that kind of relationship with money where we don't just feel like, we are doing anything wrong by charging money for something that we're doing for somebody. That's
Yeah.
what
You're
doctors
doing it
do,
for
right? They
you're
do
doing
the
it for
treatment and,
yourself.
yeah,
Oh
they
yeah.
charge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
They
because they
help
need
the
to stay in
patient and then
business.
they charge the money.
Yeah.
Right,
You're not,
of
no
course, of
business,
course.
no money, no life on earth. No decent
Right.
life.
So
No, no.
not at all. And anybody who's listening to the this episode, consider it as your right, because you're transforming someone's life, you're impacting their life. And as healers, what I see, they feel a little difficulty to make it a tangible outcome. At least
Yes,
with my clients,
scary.
I see that they always say, yeah, they feel like, but my outcome, what results I'm giving to the other, it's not tangible. Like,
Mm.
I cannot claim it, I cannot. But it is very much tangible. If I have a healthier mind and healthier relationship, that impacts every aspect of my life. So it is very much tangible. And somebody who is a coach and transforming someone's life like that, it's not just for 2-3 months of container that they are there, and we are transforming them. It's more about, we're giving them the tools and strategies and systems that's going to work for them for lifelong. So
Exactly.
whichever way, just feel free to ask for it.
Own the transformation that you give to clients, because it is a
Right,
foundation that you are rebuilding for them. You're helping them rebuild.
right,
And that is
right,
very individual and it's very personal. And it's going to be impossible to put in numbers now. But if in 3 months,
yes,
6 months, a year, a client that maybe you have not been in contact with, all of a sudden you see them changing jobs or getting better or having the relationship they
right,
want, that is their measure of success. So,
right,
what is success for you as an entrepreneur is not necessarily what is on the outside as being labeled success. So on the
right,
outside, it's like, oh, this person doubled their salary. But on the inside, for you, maybe the success for you as an entrepreneur is to have helped this person see self
exactly,
sabotaging behaviors. And that is
right.
tangible. That is very tangible.
Correct, correct. And most of the time we define success with how much money we're making.
Oh, yeah.
But I just feel like, everyone should have this freedom to decide what success looks like for them.
Yes.
It could be $100,000 for me, but it could be $5,000 for a lady. And then, having, for me, it could be 30 days of work and $100,000. For somebody, it could be, $5,000, but 20 days off. It could be something. And
Yeah.
we should not, judge or compare ourselves, what's happening in the industry, what other people are doing. And that's where you also talk about not to play small and be considerate about your own type of success and do not shy away from the competition. So let's talk about that as
I think, when you start in these businesses, you
well.
don't really have a
Hmm.
point of reference. When you're in corporate, there
Yeah,
are hierarchy, people who have the same
yeah,
level of experience as you, they make that kind of money, they have this title. You
right,
have these kind of references. You have an anchoring. In
right.
entrepreneurship, it's unless you have somebody in your family or a close friend who is there, the only thing
Hmm.
that you can see is the only thing that is offered to you. So social media, everybody lies
Right.
more or less or embellishes. So for a very long time, I think for a lot of people in particular, um, they see these, gorgeous sceneries behind, and I'm in Bali and I'm sipping cocktails and making 200,000 a year, and it's all great. I don't know whether it's true or not, but whatever happens, we go back to, why are you in
Ah,
this journey?
right.
Why?
And I have also seen, Maida, that people really shy away, especially I'm talking about the coaching industry, when they see this picture perfect social media with so many screenshots. I don't know, sometimes I see the same screenshots on a lot of other reels. So I don't really trust them anymore. But they do feel like what they're doing is not enough, and this, somewhere hold themselves back from showing up to their full potential. And that's one thing that I really want, if we can talk about more, and remove from this industry what you see on in those reels and social media platforms. That might be true, and that might not be true as well.
Yes, and I'm
So
going to give you an
you,
example.
when you hold yourself, yeah,
Yes.
I
And
got mine. I got mine.
so I'm going to give you an example. I am someone who's very, very shy. I am by nature a very shy person. Um, and so the first time for me to go and do a podcast, the first time, I cannot tell you in which space, and it was like I wanted someone to give me a shot of Valium or something, because
Uh-huh.
I thought I was going to die. First podcast, right, I'm still
Me
here.
too.
Exactly. First podcast is not going to be as on point,
Yeah,
targeted as number 50. But to
right.
get to number 50, you need to go through the whole
Two,
numbers.
three. Right, right.
So if your comfort zone is that, then you as a coach, you are teaching your clients to go outside your comfort zone. Do it
Mm,
for yourself first.
right,
The whatever you will solve for yourself, conveniently enough, is going to be something you will solve for your clients.
right.
And so, if your job is a career coach, a corporate coach, a life coach, a business coach as well, if your job is to help other people, not playing small, because that's,
Mm,
in a summary, that's what we all do,
right,
to be
right,
out there, to stop being afraid, then do that for yourself too.
right,
Um, we're going, each one of us is going to make mistakes. But here's the
right.
thing, and so what?
Right. I mean, I always hated myself on camera. I still don't like myself on camera. But then one day I had to decide, that whether I can hold myself back just because I feel like my competitions are so good when I start speaking, they're so good on camera.
Yeah.
They live in these fancy houses where everything just looks so perfect. I can either do that, or I can just come out and start serving, people who probably I'm meant to serve, you know and I can just truly feel that where this coaching industry is, and how we all sometimes are in that zone where we are not confident about our own selves, though we are very good at what we do, but we do hold ourselves back because there is just so much happening out there, and we just feel like, okay, we are not there yet.
Yeah, and going back again to what we were saying, you're doing this for yourself. So if it scares you
Right.
to be on camera, the first time what I did, I recorded on Zoom. I hated it, and I hated it so much, and I said, okay, I'm going to put it out, because otherwise
Right.
I'm going to stay where I am, and
Right.
what is going to happen, I will have to go back to corporate, and right now it's not good for me.
Mm.
And you will have, I have a person who sent me a whole email saying, you're great, but all of these, constructive feedback, and I'm like, I would never do that again. And constructive feedback, let me see how I can do better and better and better.
Right. Right.
And there are always ways to do better. But what I want for myself, and that maybe that's an advice as well for others, is, again, we are the only ones responsible for our success, whatever we define success to be,
Right.
for our lives and for our businesses. And sometimes it's going to be messy, and sometimes it's not going to be pleasant, and there will be these growing pains as well. But boy, is it worth it. Um,
It's all worth it.
so it's worth it. So if you feel that you're not good enough because you have you know, you have someone who is in their early
Right.
20s and telling you they're making all of this money. Good for them, but it's not you. And go
Yeah.
back to, what is it? Why am I doing this job again?
Right.
But
Right.
it's a
You're so
mental
true.
thing, right? You have to
Yeah.
do it over and over and over again.
Especially in the age of social media, we got
Oh,
to be aware of what's happening around and what's happening in our head when we are scrolling through, our screens. It's extremely important because subconsciously we are actually, kind of building a lot of beliefs that we are not realizing. And then when it comes to taking action, we take action based on that belief that we have, developed. And also, I have seen, one thing, that, we play small because we feel less.
yes. Yes.
We tend to compare ourselves with what's happening out there and what we see on social media, and we feel less, and then we play small. And that's where, if anyone who's listening to this, just go out there raw and real. Like, look at me. I mean, I I
You're
still don't
perfect.
like myself.
You're good. You're very good. And that is, I'm going to say, is that this is a good conversation because both of us are saying, I don't like myself on video. It took me
Yeah.
3 years before having new headshots. It took me
Right.
actually 6 months between the first headshot and the time I put it on Facebook.
Right.
So I'm very aware of how difficult it could be to be visible. But
Right.
here's the thing: we all want to be seen and heard.
Right, right,
Your
right.
clients too.
And that's, yeah, and that's the desire, right? That's why we started all of this. And then we are holding ourselves back, being too, hard on ourselves. We have to just let it be. One day, my son actually came to me and he told me, Mama, it's all right. You just go out there and do whatever you want to do, Mama. Who cares? I said, really? Nobody cares? He says, no, Mama, I keep watching shorts and YouTube videos. I don't really care how they look and how they, talk or things like that. Just go ahead and do it. And I'm like, really? If you don't care, that means it's all right for me to just go and see. And if someone cares, maybe there are people who will judge you and you might get some comments and things like that. And it's all right. Get rid of those people. That's also
Perfect.
possible. We have the feature. Yeah. To
It's
block them.
perfect. It's perfect. And I'm going to say it as well, is that um, we all go through trials and errors. We will
Right.
all
True.
go through that. That's how we learn. We learn
Right.
by modeling from other people, but we need to experience it ourselves as
Yeah.
well.
Ourselves.
um, I really think that self betrayal in the form
Mm.
of playing small is one of the most difficult to
Yeah.
forgive ourselves for,
Right. Right. True.
because we have
Very
we
true.
have the resources. I think that one of the issues is that we compare things that are not comparable. So we compare ourselves to where someone who has been 10 years in the business
Right.
is now, but you don't know their journey. You
Right.
have no idea. Maybe they had resources that you don't have access to, but your teacher, your experience is making something out of the resources that you have, not
Right.
that you don't have. But
Right.
for that, you need to have the self-awareness as well, as in, when I'm looking at this coach or this healer or whatever, what is it that I'm telling myself exactly? What is it that I'm denying myself? And what you're denying
Yeah.
yourself is the lesson of, some people may have become, I remember when I started, one of the things that used to irritate me a lot was all of these real housewives when they start, the TV series. I don't know if you know about it. It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
long
Of
time.
course. I know all
Unfortunately,
about it.
unfortunately, you know about it. And and seeing them, as soon as they would stop, they would become coaches, and I would like, isn't that unfair? They have all the money, they have no notoriety, they don't need advertising, they don't need to do the work. And then I'm like, okay, but that's not the people I want to reach. These are not my clients. If
Right.
someone goes to them, it's because they identify to them.
Right.
But me, I'm someone like you who was in corporate for a long time, and who do I want to serve? It's these people in corporate. So it goes back to niching again, which, but you don't have to niche if you don't want to, but it's important to know who are you here to serve and why, and what
Right.
are their pain points. And
Right.
so, if you are here to serve a certain segment of the population, let's say busy moms, a busy mom is not going to go to a real housewife who has these millions in the bank to
Right.
tell her how to help her with her problems. She will go probably to you because you're a busy mom, you're an entrepreneur, and you have gone through that life experience as well.
Right, right, right. Totally, totally. We can kind of go forever, go on forever on this conversation. There is just so much. I totally, can go for another 1 hour. But Meda, we have to wind up. And before we wind up, let us know about your programs that you're offering. So someone who resonates with who you are, who you truly are, after listening to this episode, and if they want to work with you, I would really like them to have some kind of reference point. From there they can start.
I work with two sorts of people. First are the people who are in corporates and who
Okay.
are looking to be promoted, to find a job, or to switch career. And the
Hmm.
second part is the people who are in positions who have just been promoted and are looking to more an executive type of coaching, leadership
Hmm.
coaching. I have my programs are 3 months. For other people, it's 6 months. Leadership coaching is more like 6 months thing.
Right.
If you want to change career, it's 4 months at least. And you can find all of this on my website, which is 𝐿𝐴𝐷𝐴POC.com. I'm also on social
Perfect.
media, on LinkedIn, Mayda Poc, and on Instagram, Mayda Poc. And I promise you will not see photos of me in
Another
Bali
Mayda Poc.
because, and it's only one me.
That's only perfect, perfect. And I'm also gonna provide in the description the link to your website and
Thank you.
things like that. So not a problem. Thank you so much, Meda, for taking out time. We had to do it twice because of the technical issues, but we finally did it. So I'm really very happy. And thank you so much for taking out your time and having this conversation with me. I'm sure my audience is going to get a lot of value out of this because it is a casual conversation that really happens with all of us. And, having the conversation kind of normalizes all of
Yes.
this that we just discussed. So thank you so much for all of your time and all the wisdom that you shared. It was so subtle, easy to understand. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you for inviting me, and it's pretty late for you. I know you like
My
working till
pleasure.
2 a.m., but thank you. Thank
My pleasure, Maida. Thank you so much.
you.